Hello and welcome to the Vicar's Wife's Frugal Life. I am Rhiannon, your Vicar's wife, living a frugal life. I am a wife, a mum, a musician and a teacher, mainly of small children, and I am the opera singer sort of musician. That's what flavour I am, like a prawn cocktail crisp of musicians. I don't really know where I'm going with that. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about sinking funds. What is a sinking fund, you might ask? Well, if you are a savings genius and you just naturally save 70% of your income every month and you don't even think about it and you'd prefer to save money than go out or go on holiday or buy a new pair of shoes, then this probably isn't the video for you, unless you like it anyway. And you know, we can become friends. That doesn't mean you need to be excluded. I'm not an exclusive person. We're very friendly and inclusive here. So I'm going to talk about sinking funds. Right. What is a sinking fund, I hear you ask? Well, I took the liberty of looking it up on the Google, and Wikipedia told me this. A sinking fund is a fund established by an economic entity by setting aside revenue over a period of time to fund a future capital expense or repayment of a long-term debt. Yes, unless you're particularly financially savvy, that didn't make much sense to me upon first reading, so let's not dwell on that. I'm just going to give you my easy version of what a sinking fund is. A sinking fund is a way of breaking up into little chunks savings goals of something that is either a regular expense, such as a yearly car insurance payment, or something that's unpredictable, needing to buy a new washing machine. Could it be that it breaks down in 5 years? Could it be that it lasts for 25 years? We don't know, but we do know that we'll probably always need a washing machine and that at some point it will probably need to be replaced. So now we know what a sinking fund is, let's talk about a bit about how to make one work. Let's take car insurance. That comes up every year for most people. So let's say your car insurance is due in January and it is £1,200 for you drive a very nice car, or perhaps you're a very irresponsible driver. I do not know. But let's say it's £1,200 for your car insurance. So you can start a sinking fund by putting £1,200 divided by 12, because that's how many months in the year I happen to pay myself. Maybe you pay yourself every 2 weeks or are paid every 2 weeks. In that case, it would be 24 times. But let's say we'll divide it by the number of months in the year. So we've got 1,200 divided by 12 is, that's right, it's £100. So we start a sinking fund. Some people like to keep it in an envelope, a literal cash envelope. I don't prefer to do that myself, but some people do like to do that, and that's their prerogative. Put £100 in your envelope, or your electronic envelope. I like to put mine in a bank account, and you put it in every month. At the beginning of each paycheck, that's what happens. It just flies out. Then, at the end of the 12 months, you can magically pay your car insurance because you've already got £1,200 saved up. How awesome, how smug will you feel? Even if it comes in a little bit more or a little bit less, at least you've budgeted for it and it's not going to sting you in the butt. The second kind of sinking fund is for the unpredictable known expense. So car insurance is something we know that's going to happen, and we can probably guess roughly how much it's going to be. If you're feeling a bit worried about it, just save a bit more. If you think it's going to be £1,200, save £1,400, you know, go crazy. What are you going to do? Have too much money left at the end of the year? So the unknown but known expense is something like a washing machine. We know washing machines probably won't last for 50 years. Your washing machine breaking after 20 years is not an emergency. It's not an emergency. It's something that's an irregular expense, but it's not an emergency. You can predict that that washing machine is probably going to break after about year 5, and you can probably be pretty sure of that, depending on how much washing you do. I have a small baby, so I do about 200 loads of washing a week. So your washing machine, let's say, how much does a washing machine cost? £400, say? Get yourself a nice washing machine. So why don't you, after a few years, or even the minute you buy a new washing machine, you could just start saving £20 a month, £10 a month. That way you never, ever have to buy anything on credit, and it never has to steal your joy, and you're never paying interest. Because when your washing machine next breaks down, You can just pay for it. You've already got the money sitting in a sinking fund. And even if you've been really unfortunate and it's broken in a much shorter period of time than you've allowed for, at least you're halfway there or a third of the way there. So that's the second kind. Now I'm going to take you through our real numbers for the month. Here is what we earned this month. Well, it's not what we earned, but it's what we took home. So our net income was £2,277.38. That was between my husband and I. Now, here we've got our two kinds of savings. We've got our long-term savings. So we're currently saving for a house, to buy a flat or something as an investment. So we have saved £1,050.38 towards that house. And we also put a tiny bit of money into a private pension in addition to my husband's work pension. So that private pension has got £53.78 this month. You'll see those numbers. There they are. Now, our sinking funds. I will read them out to you, for I realise this is not the clearest thing in the world. We have car insurance, £86, car maintenance, £50, holiday. Now that's something we need, not want, is £100, clothing, £80. Now, I realise we're on a tight budget this month because I forgot to invoice for a few things and whoops and whoops and whoops, and anyway, you don't need my excuses. But clothing, why am I spending £80 on clothing this month? I shall tell you why. We actually figure out per year how much we're willing to spend on clothes, and then we save something every month come hell or high water. So that way, if my husband needs a new suit, we can pay for the new suit. If the dog needs a new jacket, because our dog is a greyhound and they need to wear jackets in the winter, we can buy a new jacket. Currently, I have recently stopped breastfeeding, so I have gone through a pregnancy, then gone through breastfeeding, and now my bosoms have relaxed somewhat, so I need new bras. So some of that money can go towards buying some new bras, for life is too short to have an ill-supported bosom. Right, then we've got our Amazon Prime. We save £10 towards that every month. Then TV licence, £17.50. Christmas, £82. Now, if you celebrate Christmas, there are no excuses. 25th of December, it comes up every year. It's always the same. Now, if you're celebrating Eid this week, it is the week of Eid. Happy Eid to anyone who's celebrating that. I know that definitely of yesterday, I got an email from one of my students who happens to be Muslim and celebrates Eid. And they said they weren't sure if Eid was celebrated on the Tuesday or the Wednesday this year, and could they change their lesson just in case, which is quite a sweet thing, quite a sweet email to receive. But at the end of the day, Eid, even though it's something that changes year on year due to a different calendar, it's still going to be every year. So even if you were a month or two out on that, you can still start saving for it. Birthdays, we save £50 a month towards birthdays, which gives us a total of £600 a year. £600 a year is then, again, I feel it's a generous amount. We're not in debt anymore, so we can afford to do that. But £600 a year is what we spend on everyone, friends, family, and ourselves. So actually, when you start breaking it down, we've got big families. It's not that much, but that's okay. Then we work towards that because we've looked at our yearly budget. Then finally, dentist, £20. Now, don't really need any dental work done, and because I'm still within the year of having had a baby in the UK, you get free dental treatment, which is wonderful. But I just can imagine in years to come, maybe one would need a root canal, and if one had to go into debt to have a root canal, I imagine one would be very unimpressed. So I just always like to save some money in order to be able to go to the dentist, because that is something we have to pay for in the UK. If I were to have another sort of medical problem, we don't pay anything for that. And because we have the NHS in the UK, our healthcare is free at the point of delivery. Obviously, we pay our taxes, but I don't have to worry if me or someone in my family gets ill or sick, then we'll be taken care of. And that's an awesome, awesome thing. It makes me really happy. Good old Anaya in Bevan. Right, so that's our example. So actually, from the £2,277.38, we're actually saving £1,599.66. Now, these are our goals. Sometimes, and last month, for instance, we didn't quite meet our goals. Last month, we were being quite ambitious, and I think it was about 68% of our gross income we wanted to save, and I think we ended up saving about 24%. But then I tell myself, if I'd have told myself that 3 years ago, that I'd be saving a quarter of my income, of my gross income every month, and that I'd be disappointed in that, I would have laughed my head off, because actually it's a really great achievement. So have a look at what you can do this month. I've got a few action points for you. Number one is write down your budget. Do you keep a budget? Do you have a budget? Is your budget in your head? Write it down. Write down those plans and goals. There are many studies and many things that I have not researched into properly, but definitely exist because I once read it on the internet. You've got to write down your goals. So write them down. I use this, which is a budget worksheet from the unclutteredlifestyle.blogspot.com. You can see that there. Can you see that there? I do not know. But that's the unclutteredlifestyle.blogspot.com. It's made for the American market, but it's still useful. It's got bright colours, and it's very good at prompting you for certain things. It has a section here for debt. We don't have any debt, so we put our sinking funds there, which is a nice way of keeping track of some of those. So that's your first thing. Write down a budget. From your budget, this is your second thing, I want you to think about things that come up every year or pretty regularly, and that you need to budget for. So your car insurance, your television license, your parking permit, if you're a commuter, your rail ticket for the year. Think of those things, what comes up every year, and you will forget some things and you'll remember them in 2 weeks' time, but start trying to write them down, keep a list, and put next to them a predicted number. Now, third thing is I want you to get up, I want you to walk around the house, and I want you to make a list of all the things in your house that could go wrong. So your television, if you have one, your computer, your washing machine, your dishwasher, I don't know, your jacuzzi. What would happen if your jacuzzi broke? I don't have a jacuzzi myself, but if I had, I imagine I would be devastated if it ceased to function. So figure out what could go wrong and put a number next to those things. You know, how much would you probably spend on a television? Are you someone that has a 2000-inch flat screen? Then you might need to save some more money if you're quite happy getting a second-hand television off Facebook Marketplace, which is what we've done. My husband keeps really wanting to buy a 50-inch flat screen, and I am refusing because our television works and we don't need a new one, and we're too busy and too tired to watch it most of the time anyway. I end up watching TV on my iPad in bed at the end of a long day, and he generally just reads, or is just busy or working. He's just always working. Because give your vicar a hug, because chances are they're working quite hard. So that's your last one. If you're feeling totally overwhelmed by this idea of a sinking fund and it's just too much for you to cope with, that's totally fine, and I've been there and I understand how you feel. Pick one thing. So be it your car insurance, your train ticket, whatever it is, think of one thing that you need to pay for every year, or that might come up or might break. And try and think about how you would prepare for that. So if you bought a computer a year ago, think about roughly how long a computer lasts. I'd say anything between 3 and 7 years, but maybe plan for 3 years and think, okay, a new computer is going to cost me, plucking a number, £1,000. I've got 2 years to save for it, so I'm going to divide £1,000 by 24 months, and I'm going to put that bit of money into a pot, be it a physical pot or an online savings account, and I'm going to save for it that way. So that's what you need to do if you're feeling overwhelmed. If you're feeling super overwhelmed, send me a message and I'll give you a pep talk. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor or an accountant, and this is all just from my personal experience, but it's been one of the most liberating journeys that I could have ever experienced, is getting on top of my finances, so that actually, because I'm fundamentally not really interested in money, which is kind of an irony, it means I can get on with my life, and it gives me so much more freedom and happiness, and not arguing about money and worrying about it. It's the best thing ever. Happiness. I just have a think about it, have a play with it, and the worst thing that could possibly happen is that you put too much money aside. I mean, it's a great problem to have. Can work with that problem. Good luck. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Follow me on Instagram, Vicar's Wife Frugal Life. Subscribe wherever the subscribe button is, I know not where, and give me a thumbs up, because it would be lovely to know that people are watching and getting something from these videos, and that I'm not just speaking to the abyss. Okay, have a great week. Bye!